There's been a lot of chatter in the WWE fan community lately, and it all seems to circle back to the same question. Should we believe what's being said about Jade Cargill right now? Coming out of SummerSlam, the buzz has been hard to ignore. For months, the belief was that Jade was positioned perfectly to win the Women's Championship and finally dethrone Tiffany Stratton. All the signs seemed to point in that direction. She had the momentum, the credibility, and the story behind her. Yet, when the lights shine the brightest, that outcome didn't happen. WWE pulled back and decided to go another way. It's surprising because for a long time, Jade has been seen as someone destined to be a top star, the kind of talent who would one day be the face of the division. Earlier this year, she returned from hiatus in a big way, making an immediate statement by taking out Naomi. That attack kicked off an intense rivalry, which led to a major win for Jade at WrestleMania 41. From there, her career trajectory looked unstoppable. She followed that up with an even bigger accomplishment, winning the Queen of the Ring tournament by defeating Asuka in the finals. That victory guaranteed her a championship shot at SummerSlam, a match many thought would end with her finally holding gold in WWE. She even put a bow on her feud with Naomi at Evolution 2 by winning clean, leaving her with nothing but the title match to focus on. Heading into SummerSlam, odds makers and analysts alike had her pegged as the favorite to win. This was supposed to be her night. Yet, Tiffany Stratton retained, and the women only had about 7 minutes to work with. For a championship bout between two top talents, that's a tough spot to be in. Telling a layered, emotional, and impactful story in such a short window is nearly impossible. No matter who's in the ring, WWE's decision raised questions, not just about Jade's booking, but also about where her character goes from here. Talking about Jade always seems to spark debate. She's become one of those polarizing figures in wrestling. Some fans see her as a total package, someone with the look, charisma, and star power needed to be at the very top of WWE. Others think she's been overhyped, pointing to her mic work or in-ring skills as areas that still need refining. But personally, I fall into the camp that thinks she's ready now. The decision to have her lose at SummerSlam genuinely caught me off guard. So, the real question becomes, what does this loss mean for her future? Is this a sign that WWE doesn't see her as a long-term main event player or champion? There are people who believe that this might be the ceiling for her, that she won't be a megastar, and that championship glory isn't in her future. I don't buy into that. My theory is that WWE is setting up an adversity storyline for her. That's the only way the decision makes sense to me. Think about it, Jade's rise in WWE has been completely different from her run in AEW. In AEW, she was built as a dominant, almost untouchable force, racking up over 100 straight wins and holding the TBS championship without facing much real adversity. Most of her matches were squash victories, and she rarely spoke. WWE flipped that formula. They introduced her as a babyface, paired her with Bianca Belair, and pushed her to connect with fans on a personal level. They wanted her to show more personality, more charm, and develop a bond with the WWE audience. If that's the approach, what better way to deepen that connection than by having her face a crushing setback? She was positioned as the next big thing, given a year of huge wins, and then walked into SummerSlam only to lose quickly in one of the biggest matches of the year. That's the kind of moment that can generate sympathy and make fans rally behind a babyface. From there, the story becomes about how she bounces back, what challenges she faces, which rivalries she enters, and what it takes for her to climb back into title contention. This loss could be the beginning of a longer, more meaningful arc. Imagine Jade spending the rest of 2024 in various feuds, slowly building herself back up until the Royal Rumble. Reports have already suggested that WWE originally planned for her to win a championship either late this year or early 2025. Leading into WrestleMania, she was even rumored to be set for a title defense against Nia Jax on the biggest stage of them all. So here's one way it could play out. Jade bounces around in different programs for the next few months, regaining her momentum. Then, in January, she enters the Women's Royal Rumble and wins it. That victory gives her the right to challenge for a women's championship at WrestleMania. Whether the champion is Tiffany Stratton or someone else, Jade could finally get her moment, avenging her SummerSlam loss and completing a full circle story. There's even room for a twist. WWE could have her start as a sympathetic babyface chasing redemption, but if the fans turn on her along the way, they could pivot into a heel turn. She could adopt the mindset that the audience abandoned her, so she's going to return the favor. That shift could open up new storytelling opportunities and fresh rivalries. Of course, WWE has been known to change creative plans at the last minute, so there's no guarantee this is what they'll do. But when you look at the decision at SummerSlam through the lens of long-term storytelling, it starts to make more sense. If they just wanted to keep Tiffany strong and had no long-term vision for Jade, then yes, this loss would be worrying. But if the plan is to use this setback as a launching point for an even bigger moment down the road, then it's a calculated move. The short match time at SummerSlam still feels like a mistake. A bout between two of the division's top stars deserved more room to breathe. 7 minutes doesn't allow for the kind of storytelling WWE usually aims for in title matches. That limitation not only hurt the match itself but also made Jade's loss feel abrupt. If you want fans to buy into an adversity storyline, you typically want the loss to feel like a hard-fought battle rather than a blink-and-you-miss-it defeat. That being said, there's still a lot WWE can do with this. They can lean into the narrative of Jade being humbled, forced to reprove herself in front of an audience that expected her to dominate. They can have her feud with opponents who push her to new limits, maybe even bring in veterans to test her in different match styles. By the time she's back in the title picture, she could be a more complete and compelling character. For Tiffany Stratton, keeping the title makes sense if WWE believes she's still got more to give as champion. She's delivered in her role and shown she can carry the division. Her reign continuing isn't the issue, it's about making sure Jade doesn't lose her momentum entirely. WWE has to walk a fine line between building Tiffany and not burying Jade in the process. This is where the long-term booking philosophy comes into play. Wrestling history is filled with stars who suffered high-profile losses before eventually reaching the top. Sometimes, those setbacks make the eventual triumph even sweeter. The key is in how WWE tells the story between now and then. If Jade just floats around aimlessly, this SummerSlam loss will feel like a wasted opportunity. If they map out a clear journey for her, it could be the catalyst for her biggest career moment yet. That's why I lean toward optimism here. I think WWE knows the value Jade brings. They've invested in her presentation, her media appearances, and her positioning alongside other top stars. That's not something you do if you see someone as expendable. They've made her feel important from the moment she arrived, which tells me they still see her as a future champion. The question isn't whether she'll get there, it's when. And if my theory holds up, that one could very well be WrestleMania. Between now and then, it's all about building her back up, making the audience emotionally invested in her journey, and ensuring her eventual title win feels earned rather than inevitable. So should we believe the negative chatter about Jade Cargill's future? I don't think so. I think WWE made a choice to delay her coronation, not deny it entirely. They're telling a story. Even if the first chapter after her loss feels frustrating, the adversity route isn't new in wrestling, but when done right, it works, and Jade has all the tools to make it work for her. In the end, this could be one of those moments fans look back on as the turning point in her career. The night she didn't win, the setback that lit a fire, and the loss that set the stage for her biggest victory yet. Time will tell if WWE executes it the way they should, but the potential is there, and if she walks into WrestleMania, beats whoever's champion, and holds that title high, all the frustration from SummerSlam will suddenly make perfect sense.